Hello everyone, welcome back to Curiosity Facts channel. In today's video, we're diving into a chilling chapter from intriguing historical events. Today, we're setting our sights on a particularly stone-cold and pivotal moment in American history, the Wall Street bombing of 1920. This event, steeped in mystery and speculation, sent shockwaves through the nation and had far-reaching implications. So, fasten your seatbelts as we embark on an in-depth exploration of this tragic event. We'll delve into the enigma surrounding the perpetrators, the whirlwind of theories that emerged in its aftermath, and the government's multifaceted response. This journey will take us back in time, shedding light on the resilience of a nation in the face of adversity. So, stay tuned as we find the layers of this historical event. The date was September 16, 1920. A typical bustling day on Wall Street, the financial heart of the United States. Unbeknownst to the crowd, a horse-drawn wagon stood ominously at the intersection of Wall and Broad Streets, right across from the headquarters of the financial giant, J.P. Morgan & Company at 23 Wall Street. This was no ordinary wagon. Hidden beneath a tarpaulin cover was a deadly cargo, 100 pounds of dynamite and 500 pounds of heavy, cast-iron sash weights. At precisely 12:01 p.m., the wagon exploded in a devastating blast. The detonation was so powerful that it instantly claimed the lives of 30 people and injured hundreds more. Shrapnel from the explosion flew in all directions, embedding itself in buildings and people alike. The blast was so intense that it caused over $2 million in property damage, a staggering amount for the time. The shockwaves from the explosion reverberated far beyond the immediate vicinity. The entire nation felt the impact of this horrific act of violence. The bustling corner of Wall Street, usually filled with the sounds of commerce and trade, was suddenly transformed into a scene of chaos and destruction. This event, known as the Wall Street bombing of 1920, remains one of the most devastating acts of domestic terrorism in U.S. history. Its effects were felt not just on Wall Street, but across the entire nation. In the aftermath of the explosion, a pressing question loomed large: who was responsible for this horrific act of violence? The quest to uncover the truth sparked a massive investigative effort involving some of the nation's top law enforcement agencies. The New York Police Department, the Bureau of Investigation, the precursor to the modern-day FBI, and the U.S. Secret Service all joined forces in an attempt to solve the mystery. These agencies left no stone unturned. They conducted extensive investigations, employing all the resources and techniques at their disposal. Investigators found themselves in a race against time, interviewing hundreds of potential witnesses, suspects, and persons of interest. They followed numerous leads, some promising, others leading to dead ends. They sifted through mountains of evidence, piecing together the events of that fateful day in painstaking detail. Yet, despite their best efforts, the identity of the culprits remained elusive. The trail went cold, and the case, to this day, remains one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in American history. The perpetrators of this heinous act managed to evade the grasp of some of the most skilled investigators of the time, leaving behind a legacy of speculation and unanswered questions. In the aftermath of the bombing, the atmosphere was rife with accusations and finger-pointing. The blame game escalated to unprecedented levels. Critics of America's economic system, who had long voiced their concerns about the concentration of wealth and power, found themselves on the defensive. They were denounced for allegedly supporting violence and terror, their criticisms interpreted as tacit approval of the bombing. The debate over Wall Street's influence and power, which had been a contentious issue, suddenly became more subdued. The voices that once questioned the unchecked power of financial institutions were now drowned out by the clamor for justice and security. The focus shifted from economic reform to public safety, from questioning the status quo to preserving it. The bombing served as a wake-up call for law enforcement agencies. It stimulated renewed efforts by police and federal investigators to monitor and track the activities and movements of foreign radicals. The hunt for the culprits turned into a broader campaign against radical ideologies. The tragedy of the Wall Street bombing thus had far-reaching implications, shaping the discourse on economic power and national security in the years to come. In response to the Wall Street bombing, the government sprang into action with a swift and comprehensive strategy. The magnitude of the event demanded a robust response, and the government rose to the occasion. The first order of business was to address the immediate threat of terrorism. The government launched a widespread crackdown on perceived threats to national security. This included not just those directly linked to the bombing, but also broader groups associated with left-wing activism. This period, known as the Red Scare of 1919 to 1920, was marked by heightened fear of radical political ideologies, particularly those associated with communism and anarchism. The government's response was characterized by a heightened sense of urgency and severity. The rhetoric used by government officials and the media was often exaggerated, painting a picture of a nation under siege and in need of strong action. This created a climate of fear and suspicion, further fueling the government's aggressive response. Law enforcement agencies were given broad powers to search and seize property, often without proper legal warrants. Many arrests and detentions were made, often without sufficient evidence or due process. These actions, while controversial, were justified by the government as necessary measures to protect national security. One of the most significant aspects of the government's response was the deportation of several hundred suspected radicals and anarchists. These individuals, many of whom were immigrants, were rounded up and deported back to their countries of origin. This action was seen as a strong message to those who threatened the peace and security of the nation. The government's response to the Wall Street bombing was a complex mix of law enforcement, political rhetoric, and immigration policy. It was a defining moment in American history, shaping the nation's approach to national security and civil liberties for years to come. The Wall Street bombing of 1920 stands as a monumental event in the annals of American history. This tragic incident is not merely a footnote, but a chapter that speaks volumes about the socio-political climate of the era. It underscores the extreme measures that individuals or groups might resort to in order to voice their dissent or make a political statement. The Wall Street bombing of 1920, therefore, remains etched in American history as a stark reminder of the potential for violence in the pursuit of political aims, and the enduring resilience of a nation in the face of adversity. And with that, we've reached the end of today's enlightening journey into the past. If this video sparked your interest and you found yourself immersed in the unraveling of history, don't forget to express your appreciation by hitting the like button. Sharing is caring, so if you think this video could pique the curiosity of others, feel free to share it among your friends and family. To ensure you don't miss out on our future explorations, do subscribe to our channel. We have a plethora of intriguing stories from history lined up for you. Each video promises a deep dive into events that have shaped our world, offering you a chance to satiate your curiosity and learn something new. So, until we meet again in our next video, keep that spark of curiosity alive.